welcome to the Sales Step Up. Here we are, it's Thursday afternoon, and today I am super excited because we have Paul Lancaster with us, who you might know or you might not, but this is your time to come along and meet him. So if you're joining us live, please come and say hello. We'd love to say hello to you in the comments, so post a little comment below and we will say hello. Equally, this is also your chance to ask any questions that you have of Paul as well. So if while we're chatting you think, you know what, I'd love to know X, Y, and Z, then this is your chance to say exactly that, and I will put your question to Paul. I'm really excited. Let's say hello to Paul, who's going to tell us all about his new approach to life, the universe, and everything, and tribes. Because Paul, I have always known you as a SuperConnector, and because of Startup Week in Newcastle here, but actually we're here today not just talking about your journey from that, but also about your new SaaS product, which is TRYBES, aren't we?
Yes, yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me to join. And I must say this is the most professional LinkedIn Live I've been on so far. I've been doing a lot of them myself, but I definitely don't do it as professionally as you do. So thanks for showing me how it should be done properly.
Oh, don't be daft. Look, I have to be honest with you, like, we're so lucky here. I've got a fantastic team. We've got a guy called Marco who did like the lovely video intro. We've got someone called Alison who makes sure that all of our socials and our promos up there. So that's actually a big hats off to the team. I do just show up, really. But I really want to, I know we're here to talk tribes, but I'm really interested in hearing a bit about the journey here, because we have known each other for a little while. So how did you start? And how have you got to where you are today with some of the things that you're involved with?
Yeah, so I'll try and be brief because it can I can bore myself something talking about the journey I've been on. So, well, most of my career has been spent working for local enterprise agencies, youth enterprise schemes, worked for the government for a little while, worked for corporates, all focused on helping people start businesses. So I've been paid to give free business startup advice, hand out a bit of funding and support and signposting and matchmaking and introductions. So I really loved doing that. And then I spent about 15 years doing that. And when you're hanging out with entrepreneurs, and you can't help but get the bug and feel like one day you're going to do it. But I kept feeling like I could add more value in a role where I was paid to do that and learn on the job and all that sort of stuff. And so I've built up a pretty good network on my own, online and offline, through doing these various roles, not just Northeast, but UK wide and some overseas. But then I finally started my own business 5 years ago, which is called Plan Digital. P. Lancaster, Plan Digital.
But I love the double whammy on it. That's great.
But basically, my job is doing what I've been doing up until now, but independently on my own terms, without reliance on grants or funding, and with a specific focus on the northeast of England. So a bit of inbound marketing and community engagement consultancy, but my big thing that I've been doing is this 5-day multi-venue citywide Newcastle Startup Week Festival, which I started in 2017. So obviously big event, amazing, I'm biased, but like huge event that would try and engage the whole business community, the whole ecosystem, everyone from pre-startup all the way up to corporate and everything in between, funders, investors, advisors, professional services, you name it, they would all come to that event. First 2 years we had just over 600 people. Then in 2019 we had just over 800 people. And then last year I was aiming for 1,000. And then obviously COVID happened. So the classic phrase, pivot, the word pivot. I took what I already had and I moved everything online. So I created a private Facebook group that people who already had tickets could access, and new people could join that Facebook group. And I still ran a 5-day event for just over 300 people in May, and then just over 200 people in September. And because that works so well, I've just kept that Facebook group running all year round now. And I've repositioned the website to be an all year round resource for anyone that wants to start or grow a business in the northeast of England. And Tribe, that'll lead us on nicely to Tribes is basically an expansion of that, but I'm trying to do everything that I've been doing in a kind of manual or way at scale. Try to move it online and do this signposting, matchmaking, SuperConnecting through a digital platform. So Tribes, we're calling it a data-driven signposting and matchmaking platform for startup communities.
Wow, that sounds like really complicated. Just going back to that super connecting bit though, because I think that's really interesting, and it's the real thread that comes through a lot of the interactions that I've had with you. I mean, I think one of the things that you sort of said there about Startup Week, about how it's in Newcastle, it's 5 days. I think, like, you know, if people haven't experienced Startup Week, you know, this wasn't a small local event. I mean, there was international speakers coming to this event. It was, you know, big stages. There were workshops running in different locations. There was the big keynotes. I mean, it was just, it was an event like I'd never really experienced before. And I think that was, you know, when you're talking about super connecting, it was the difference between a passive event and actually an event where people could really get involved and build those connections, build those interactions, build those relationships. I mean, would you agree with that? Do you think that is really one of the things that made it different?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you think that and saw that, because that was a key thing for me. Is that, I mean, I've been to so many events over the years, and there's some great events. It's not so great events, but definitely the people off stage were just important as the people on stage, and all the interactions. And we talked about before we went live the serendipitous conversations that you have in between talks during the breaks and lunchtime. And a key thing was the social, the network and the after parties as well, because it wasn't just a date. It wasn't just one venue. You know, it was a 5-day event. But we had morning venues, afternoon venues, evening events. So it was at least 3 venues every day, sometimes 4. And a key thing was to show off the city as well, Newcastle and Gate, to get people to move around, fall in love with the city if they've never been before. But even if they lived here, to be reminded just what an amazing place it is to live and work and all. So yeah, that community collaboration, connection, that's basically me. So Startup Week is the perfect embodiment of who I am and what I love doing. And yeah, I'm really, really proud of what we achieved with those physical events.
And that comes on, you know, so, you know, when you're starting to talk about tribes, you sort of talked about that's also another way of connecting. It's matchmaking. You mentioned matchmaking. I mean, you know, is this swiping left and right? I mean, how far down the matchmaking route are we going here?
Yeah, I've been told off. I'm not allowed to say. I was at one point saying Tinder for starters, but that's because other people say that to me. But it's not that sort of matchmaking. I mean, going back to the whole super connecting, right? So over the years, what I've found is sometimes the most valuable things that you can do are not the things that you get paid to do. Yeah. So it's that insight, it's the knowledge, it's the connections, it's the introductions, the signposting, the things that you're doing that just happen, that nobody really asks you to do, but you do it, and other people do it as well. And then that's what brings people together. That's the glue, the social kind of glue and connection. It's not purely transactional, right? So that I've had roles where I've been paid. My job is to do a certain thing, but I've done extra things on top of it, which enhance my role and enhance the experience for people. But the original way I came up with the whole SuperConnector thing, there's a book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. And when that first came out, that was the early 2011, 2012 or something. And he talks in there about why some ideas are successful and others aren't. And he says the successful ideas tend to have 3 types of people involved. You have what are called mavens, so people who just love finding out about new things. You have connectors, people who don't just tell 1 or 2 people, they'll go out of their way to tell the right people. They'll think, who do I know that should know about this or would benefit from knowing this, and they'll tell them about it. And then you have the sales people or the sales and marketing people who on an ongoing basis keep selling it and promoting the idea, right? And when I read it, I thought, I'm definitely a maven. and I think I'm a connector, and I think I'm pretty good at marketing at the time. I thought I'm going to set out to be the best of all those three things combined. And that's what I did from that point onwards. I set out to be those three things combined. That's why I call myself a super connector. And now other people call me a super connector. But I think if you don't know who I am and what I do, you think, what the hell is a super connector? But when you know who I am and what I do, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it's really interesting because, it's like, oh, Paul will know someone who does, or Paul will know something about that. And it's because it is that sort of thing that when you're building that, I think, you do build those relationships, not just for yourself, but for other people as well. And I think that's been something which has always sort of stood out about you. So how are you going to do this same sort of thing with a SaaS product then? How is that going to work?
It's tricky. It is tricky because, I'll go back a step, right? So the original idea I was just calling it a SuperConnector platform, right? So I was like, okay, yeah, I love doing this. There's loads of value in what I'm doing, but how can I do this at scale? How can I do it in a more efficient way at scale and make a bit of money from it as well, right? Yeah. And in my background, I was working for Sage for a while, and I was doing inbound marketing and social media for their SaaS platform, their SaaS accountancy and payroll software. So I understand the SaaS world and how to build audiences and get customers through that. So my original seed of an idea was at Sage. I said to them, I think you should do something like this. And they didn't really get it because they were focused on selling the products, right? Fair enough. And then I started my own business, and I had the two big ideas. One was the Startup Week event, and the other was this SuperConnector platform.
Yeah.
And because I'm not a techie, I understand technology, and I'm good at talking to techies and non-techies. I was speaking to funders and investors about it, and they were like, "Yeah, could see the potential, but go away, build it, make it successful. Then we'll give you some money." Right?
They want more than just the idea, don't they?
And I thought, well, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on building the community and the network first through the Startup Week events, and then I'll add the digital element, the platform underneath it at some point in the future. So that was always the point when I started the startup.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was the aim. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I thought that was the idea, to have something that would enhance the Startup Week events. And since then, I have had, if not false starts, but I've thought I was going to do it. I thought I had the right people around me to do it, and I've had some offers of investment, but it's not been the right.
Yeah.
Not the right team or not the right funding. So I've just gone back to focusing on the events. And then last year, with the whole pandemic, I thought, now's the time. Let's see if we can really crack on and do it. Set up a new company with two co-founders, Andrew Essen and Mark Rennie. Mark had already been speaking to him about maybe developing TRYBES or the SuperConnector platform as an agency, and Andrew had been advising me through the Scale Up Northeast program as a mentor and an advisor. So the three of us already knew each other. Andrew and Mark were working together. The three of us really like each other, got on with each other, and we thought, well, why don't we come together and see if we can make this thing happen? So we formed the company at the end of August, and since then we've been validating the idea, having lots of conversations with stakeholders, potential funders and advisors and users, pitching for investment, trying to get investment, trying to figure out what the MVP is going to be, all this sort of stuff. And it is hard. Because basically what's still happening now is people, the funders, investors still keep saying, love it, huge potential, awesome team, but build it, make it successful, then we'll give you some money. So I need some brave investors who just believe in it, to just put the money where the mouth is and just get behind it. But we're going to talk about it now. But in the meantime, I'm funding it. I'm focusing on what I've already got to raise revenue to develop TRYBES.
So there's some really interesting stuff you said there. So the first thing that you said, which I was amazed at, was you said like the idea for this was kind of there before Startup Week, and that was almost like part of sort of the thinking around doing that. And that's amazing, because I had no idea about that. But I think it speaks to something that I think, especially with startup businesses of any kind, but I think especially in software, there's a real thing there about audience. Have you got the audience? Have you got the people? And I think one of the biggest challenges is to get your product to the right audience. So it's amazing that actually, switching that round, you've actually built the audience almost before you've built the product, which really is going to speak to what we're going to talk about in a moment about your pre-selling. But it's an approach that I don't think everybody would take in your shows.
No, because a lot of people, they build the product first, and then they think, well, now we need to find some customers, potential users. And I have done a lot of mentoring over the years with some tech startups who technically brilliant, but they don't know much about sales or marketing or business development or even business. And they fail because they don't know how to reach those potential customers. A lot of them, what they really need is one customer. They need one big client, one big company to endorse them and use them and get behind them. And they don't even know how to do that. So I think that experience of working in a big corporate as well means that I can talk to major companies and I understand what their needs are and how they would benefit from using TRYBES just as much as how the small companies would benefit from using it. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create something that everybody can potentially benefit from at every level.
Yeah. And I think that's really interesting as well, because I would agree with you on that. Actually, I think there's a real thing around that. I think the other thing is sometimes people build what they think people want instead of checking. Whereas, I mean, that must have been quite interesting because you've got the audience first. How much is what your, sort of your minimal viable product, your MVP? How much has that changed based on what your audience has told you or from those conversations?
It's funny because we've spent 9 months from forming the company to now, and I've had this idea for at least 5 years, right? But we're actually pretty much back to where I started. Like the original idea, like everything I said that we should do, that's what we should do. That's what people say we want. So you got to be careful. You get pulled into different directions. People say different things, but actually, what the original idea was a really solid idea. And it's because it's built on many years of experience and conversations, and trying to articulate that is difficult, especially when you get told, put together a 10 slide pitch deck.
Yeah.
That's actually been the hardest thing for me is when I'm talking to people about it, when I'm explaining it in person, they get it and they can understand what I'm doing, and the concept is a really good, strong, huge potential to what we do, but trying to put that into a presentation is so hard to do that, because then you just like confined and you can't really
I would agree with that. I think the other thing is as well, I think as soon as you try to do that, I think because you have such a huge vision, quite often trying to get your huge vision down to those very small, key, salient points that are really going to hit it with an investor, they're two very different views of the world, aren't they? And It's interesting. Anne's just come on there saying, lovely, thanks for joining us, Anne. If you're here, if you are joining us today, because I can see we've got quite a few people watching this afternoon. So if you are here, do come and say hello to Paul. Drop us a like. We'd love to hear from you. So Anne's saying, interesting listening to your vision, Paul, and hear your ideas. The idea for your SaaS was planted before Startup Week. So Anne's the same as me. She thought it was always going to be the other way around. Build the audience, understand the needs, then create the service which serves them. Yeah, and I think that is a fascinating approach, and it's interestingly one which I was listening to something that a guy called James Buckley was talking about, and he was talking about everything being the triangle of triumph. And one of the things he talks about there is audience, and about it being the forgotten part of the triangle. So it's fascinating that you've really taken that approach. And that's really also coming into like where you're looking to fund this product now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically, like you said, loads of conversations, like really positive, enthusiastic conversations with people. Some offers of angel investment, some bigger offers on certain conditions. But I just thought, well, the point isn't just to raise investment. That's not the point of doing this. The point is to build something of real value to the audience, the community, the people that are going to use it, right? So what I did, I basically, I finally got round to reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I've watched the video, everybody talks about, everybody references it, but a lot of people have never read the book or even watched the video. So I thought, right, I'm going to read this book and see what's all about. And I read it at the right time because I was thinking, okay, why did I actually start on this journey? Why did I start my own business? It's been 5 years. Why? So if anyone hasn't read it, he basically says most people know what they do and they know how they do it, but not everyone knows why they do what they do other than the boss tells them to, right? So, but the greatest leaders, the greatest businesses have a really clear why. And they start from the inside out. They start from that like deep, and that's what resonates with people. So I thought, right, I'm going to put it all down, like why I started. So I've actually, if people want to see it, if they go to newcastlestartupweek.com/trybes, TRYBES, I've written it all down. I put why I started, how I've been doing things since, and then what I'm doing now. Because I don't think I've ever really written it down for anyone. Like I know why I've done it, but I don't think I've ever really written it down for anyone else to see. And I thought I'll put it out there, and if it resonates with people, great. If it doesn't, fine. But I'm just going to put it out there, and in that I basically said, look, yeah, we're happy having lots of conversations with investors, but if you believe in what we're doing and you want to get behind it, you can support us now. We don't need to wait for investment. You can support us now if you pay to join the community, if you do some coaching with me, if you pay to do a little bit of advertising, or in any other way you can help. You can be part of this now. It doesn't have to be one rich guy in London supporting it. It can be everybody in the Northeast or everybody in the UK can be part of this. It doesn't have to be one rich, like I say, one rich guy or girl. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I do, and it's really collaborative. I mean, I think this is why I was. So I've just popped the link down below. So go and check out. I've got that right, haven't I, Paul? Just make sure I've got it all right. Brilliant. No typos or anything like that. It's normally where I end up. But so yeah, go and check it out below, and we'll also drop it in the comments later on. And this is what I was really interested by, though, because I think that when you're starting to look at, as you say, SaaS startups, you're right. People are looking for one or two, angel investors. They're looking for really significant amounts of money. But the way that you're approaching it is you're approaching it where everyone who's in your audience, everyone who works with you, everyone who thinks you're great, everyone who thinks this is an amazing idea can actually get involved, can't they?
Yeah, and they'll benefit from using it anyway. So at some point, I'm going to be asking them to be involved anyway. But I mean, the way we're proposing it is like it's a freemium model. That was the idea, is that anybody can, if you're a business owner, right, you can join TRYBES for free, but it will have limited functionality. But the idea, broadly, briefly speaking, is that it would allow you to create a single dashboard around your business, who's involved, evidence of traction, analytics, all the information, connect all your cloud products and services into a single dashboard. If you're looking for any sort of, if you want to build a team, if you're looking for funding or investment, if you're looking for professional advice or whatever, it will make recommendations and match you up with the best people based not only on your information that you've supplied, but what other people have done that have been successful. So that's the data-driven bit. So it'll say companies like yours that have been successful, this is the route that they went down. So these are the people they spoke to. This is the like this is the bank account they use. This is the software they use. This is the advisor they spoke to. This is the funder or investor they went to. Because again, it goes back to the whole point of startup and everything I'm doing is I want to stop people wasting time, money, and effort on things that are less likely to work. Just make things more efficient and speed up the whole process from idea to launch to growth. So even if they just have the free version, that's a value to them, right? But if they want to unlock certain features and be matched up with or discovered by funders or investors, they would have to upgrade, they would have to pay something, right? And then at the other side, the funders, the investors, the professional services, the co-working spaces, the accelerators, the corporates, they would have to pay for a bigger license for the ability to find those companies. So, and then inside the product, if someone signs up for a certain product or service, we can potentially make some in-app referral fees from there. But the trick is trying to be neutral and impartial and only that's the hard bit, not just pushing whoever pays to advertise, like giving them the genuine recommendations based on what their needs are and what success is for other people.
I think there's some really interesting points there as well. And actually, one of them here, Andrew's come in and said, some of us are viewing this from London area. High five. Hello, London. And there might, fingers crossed, there might be some of our international posse on here as well. But that's a really valid point because actually, I don't know about you, but one of the things that I know when I talk to some of my business mates is I'll say, oh my goodness, I went to XYZ and there's this brilliant government support available, or there's, this access to funding here, or there's this, or, whatever it might be. And actually, sometimes that's one of those things that stuff still exists in other areas. It's just got a different name, or it's being delivered by somebody different, or sometimes it's a wider program, like I think the Barclays Eagle Labs and things like that. So I think actually having something that is going to help signpost people to the people and the support on a wider level is going to be really valuable for them.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so. Well, it will. When we definitely the way we've thought through is because there are other things out there, but they're very static platforms, or they're basically directories, right? So you have to trawl through loads and loads of information, and you give up the will to live, right? But the point with TRYBES is it will only present you with things that you are right for. So it'll particularly funding or investment or programs. If you pre-qualify for certain things, you'll be presented with that, but you'll also be flagged up to the others, the people that are looking for people like you as well, because that doesn't happen at the minute. Is that and that's why I get investors coming to me saying, Paul, do you know any companies that we should be looking at? And I'll get people saying, Paul, do you know any investors we should be talking to? And I love doing that, but I don't know everyone, and it's once I've made the recommendation or an introduction, I don't know what happens after that. But this is a way to increase the opportunity basically for people wherever they are, and even if they don't have access to a SuperConnector or they don't have a good network, if they've got the right idea or the right business, they'll be given the information they need.
I think the other thing you said there is about creating almost a template of this is what other businesses like you have done to get to where they are now. That's fascinating, because I think quite often we look at other businesses and we go, oh my God, I'd love to do what they did. But how do you find out the actual steps that they took? Because, I think it's that whole thing that, quite often people will tell you, they'll tell you their story, they'll tell you, what that looks like, but quite often like from the surface, whereas actually, there are a lot of other things that have gone under the surface. They might have had investment, they might have had support from, a particular set of training, or they might have had a business plan put together from, with benefiting, with lots of experience, into that, so on and so forth. So I think actually being able to was like, pull back the curtain on that a little bit, that would be fascinating.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, there's an organisation, well, they're kind of like investment bank advisory fund based in Manchester called GP Bullhound, and they do really good reports. And a few years back, people were talking about unicorns, tech unicorns, billion-dollar value, right? So they published a report on the tech unicorns and what they started calling tech titans, right? And in that report, they did a really good job of showing the characteristics of a unicorn down to the founder persona, like case studies of the founders, but also what advice they had and which funds they'd got investment from. And when you look at stuff like that, you realize there's no point talking to these investors because they're totally the wrong investors. They've got no experience or track record, but there's a very small group. If you're a certain type, you need to be speaking to these ones because they not only have the money, but they've got the experience and the network. And that's the thing with investors. It's not just the money, it's the network and the added value they give to you as well. So when I see things like that, that's the sort of thing that I want to include in TRYBES. And like I say, just take away some of the guesswork and get people to where they need to be faster.
It's really interesting as well, because I think one of the things that I know about myself personally is that I love an example. I find that real life examples are easier than anything else. I've been doing a course recently, and it's been a great course. Brilliant course. It's nothing about the course. It's about me, okay? And I've been going through all the training. I've been like, right. I'm a bit bored now. I might make a cup of tea because I'm easily distracted, shiny thing. But then what they've done great is at the end of each piece of training, there's like a proper real life example. I love it so much. I'm like doing the training to get to the example. Now, if they just gave me the example, I would get something out of that. But actually, obviously, having the training around it and the learning around that, that means I'm getting far more out of that example. But for me personally, I think the theory is great, but show me where it's worked. Show me how it's worked. Like, show me like the secret sauce. So it sounds a little bit like TRYBES is going to be giving us the little secrets behind all of these different types of businesses who are interacting with it,
Yeah, no, well, that's the plan. And there's information is out there, but it's pulling it all together into a single place. Because no one's doing this. Nobody's doing it. And like I say, I had this idea a long time ago, and well, still no one's doing it. So I might as well try and do it. So. But I do it anyway, on an individual basis. This is what I do all the time. But how do I do it at scale in a more efficient way that more people can benefit?
And do you see that this is going to be like an app, or do you think it's going to be something that's web-based, or how are you seeing that being delivered?
Yeah, it'll be web-based. Because there'll be some stripped down information in an app further down the line, but it'll need to be a platform on your laptop or your desktop. But
And I think that's really interesting, because Andrew just said building a network can take a long time. I would totally agree with that. And I mean, it feels to me like this is going to start to shortcut that for us.
Yeah, well, I think so, because that's the thing. If you don't have a network, that's the thing. That's what I was saying before. Like, so many people have great ideas, but they don't have a network. They don't have the right people around them. So this is a way that people can tap into an existing network, and TRYBES can be working away for them in the background, spotting opportunities and flagging up things for them and pre-qualifying them for things, and they can be focused on what they're doing. They're not having to do all that hunting and gathering on their own. And and Andrew, he said he's in London, so great that you're watching from London. Thank you, because just to clarify, Newcastle Startup Week is very Northeast focused, but TRYBES I want it to be a UK-wide, potentially international thing. So that was another reason why I wanted to create a SaaS platform, so it's not so geographically restricted, although it makes sense to start where my network and my existing audience is here in the Northeast. But the investors have been told they're all over. They're not just in the Northeast, they're all over the UK and overseas as well.
It sounds like a lot of this as well is very much like based around big data as well, like analyzing data, understanding, making connections with the data almost. So I guess it's one of those things is that once you've got those algorithms and you've got that all set up, I would imagine that, you know, you can just add in, like layer in the data as the platform grows as well. Am I right? Have I just made that up?
No, you're right. Yeah, you sound like you know what you're talking about.
Hey.
But the other thing as well, another key thing, going back to the whole SuperConnector, and if things already exist, we're not recreating them. So we're integrating and plugging in existing products and services. That's the point. So TRYBES is the platform that's going to connect certain things. So I'll not name them, but there's certain products and services that are already out there that are really good at just doing one thing.
Yeah.
So we want them to be part of the TRYBES platform.
Yeah.
So we'll recommend and signpost people to that thing, or we'll if they've already using it, we'll allow them to connect it to their dashboard. Because if things already exist, we don't want to recreate them. It's the connections and that's what's missing at the minute. So that's what
it's almost having the technology to like hook all that stuff together and into one place, and then being able to serve it up in a way that is personal to the individual, the company that's looking at it, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like making it. It's focused on the user, so it's not just here's a load of things we want you to use it because we think it's a good thing. It's like, what are your needs? Like, who are you? What's your business? Where are you at? And what have companies like yours done that have been successful?
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of just being able to rip off a blueprint. I mean, like, what's not to like? What is not to like? Andrew.
Go on, sorry.
Andrew's actually honorary Geordie, studied in Northumbria as well.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Andrew might be a SuperConnector in London, so we'll have to get him involved as well. No, I mean the thing is, I love face-to-face. You can't recreate that completely. So in an ideal world, I would have TRYBES and I would have some human stuff going on top of it as well. So I would love a team of people who are behind TRYBES as well, who it's their job to, just like Sage, when we both work for Sage, you'd have the product and team, but they had a massive customer support team and as well as the sales team. It's the biggest software company in the UK, but it still relies heavily on people. It's not.
And I think it still runs a lot of face-to-face events as well. And I know that we were just talking just before this actually about how we're managing since the pandemic, should we say? And I think we've both sort of said online's fine, but wow, we really miss seeing people face to face. So yeah, we definitely need a blended approach in that. And actually, obviously, Startup Week and TRYBES. I mean, there's so much interaction with those anyway. Paul and Andrew's now saying that he needs an offline chat with you, Paul. Okay. Well, I saw him first, Andrew. So we'll organise that. We can absolutely organise that after that for you. Make sure you connect to him. And the link to Paul's profile is obviously in the post above this, so you can connect. Exactly. So obviously you're at the point now, you've got this idea, you've got your audience are now contributing towards getting you to minimum viable product. So what can we expect next with the TRYBES journey?
Okay, so I mean where we're at now, definitely kind of got to a point where I thought we've been having like a lot of conversations, and it kept getting told the same thing actually, where it was like, yeah, love it, huge potential, great team. But also people were saying your value is you and what you've already got.
Yeah.
I'm getting told that, and they're right. I can understand, like, there's already an existing business, there's an existing website, there's an existing community, there's already 30,000 social media followers, 3,000 people on the mailing list, blog, YouTube channel, me, all the brand, all the assets, everything around that, physical events, online events. There's already something there that's more tangible than TRYBES. So I thought, okay, if I keep getting told the same thing, I'm going to focus. I'm still doing TRYBES, but I'm focusing on continuing to build up the Startup Week community, generate more revenue through that, and then use some of that money to develop TRYBES. And if someone wants to come along and put some money into TRYBES and invest in it, great. Love to talk to you. But there's already something people can put money into now. We don't have to wait for it to be developed to get behind it. And I've been using the Startup Week community, the online community I've already got, to test the water, basically. So testing price points and a lot of the things that I want to do with TRYBES, I can already do it, but in a manual way. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just making sure I'm getting that right, and then that's given me and potential funders and partners more confidence to get behind TRYBES when that's ready as well.
And I think even it's one of those things that, even though, there's two parts to this, isn't there? There's the idea and the concept, and there's the actual tech solution. And I guess, it's that thing that, because you maybe need a little bit more investment to do one, doesn't stop you from doing the other. And it does validate the idea. Chris has actually come on here. This is a very long one, Chris. Wow, you're challenging my reading out skills. Okay, so Chris has said how very interesting. Currently working on the development of a software project involving some AI technology, and following continued work on the business plan, identification that investment will be required. And exactly as you've stated, exactly such a network is vitally important to understand how feasible the model is and how likely such investment is ROI calculations. That is fascinating as well, because I guess it's one of those things that once TRYBES was out there in the world, actually investors could be using this kind of thing to start to model the sort of success they could maybe envisage with some of the businesses that they're looking to work with.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's great that he's said that, because another thing I didn't talk about in the business model is that the investors, that we want them to use it to find deal flow, because they're all struggle. They don't know how to identify people at an early stage, right? So how they can identify people that pre-qualify for their funds and keep track of them. And then even if they don't invest in, like, when the time is right, they'll invest in them, right? But then if they're already in the portfolio, it's a way for them to continue to monitor their progress and continue to add value, because so quickly, the reason it's called TRYBES, it says a few things. So TRYBES, right? But also TRYBES, like we're creating, everybody can have their own unique tribe built around them and their idea. So everybody can have their own tribes around their business, but we're connecting the different tribes. So there's the business owner tribes, there's the funder tribes, the investor tribes.
Yeah.
And at the minute, they don't really know how to meet each other, how to find each other. But we're going to provide a way for all these different tribes to connect in a way that benefits them all. But yeah, I'm just saying, is there anything I've missed on there about it's really, just the ROI for the investment.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Wouldn't it be amazing to give people an idea of, when you look at companies that have ticked all these boxes and are doing this thing, then investors normally get an ROI of this? I mean, that would be amazing, isn't it? I suspect that's a little bit down the line, though, in some ways.
Yeah, it's really hard, because everybody wants a hockey stick, like up and to the right. And when you're doing the financial forecast as well, it's, who knows? Like, as long as it makes sense and it doesn't look ridiculous, and I think that's everything I've read and been told from investors is, like, they want you to go through the process to show that you've gone through the process. They know that you don't know how things are going to turn out, but they want to know that you've put the thought into it, and you're not going to go crazy and waste all your money in the first few months, and there's a bit of a process and a proper team and planning gone into it, and that's what I've relied on the other guys to help me with that, because that's not my forte. I'm much better at coming up with the ideas and coming up with a vision and marketing and selling the message and belief that it's going to work based on experience. But it's brand new. No one's done this before. That's why it's hard.
And I think that's why it's so great that you're actually getting your audience involved with the funding on this. I think that's what's so special about it. And I know that the other thing that you're doing at the moment is you're running your 5-star focus program. So what's all that about then?
Yeah, so the community that I mentioned before, so people pay to join that, right? So it's I've just announced this earlier this week. It was £75 for a 12-month subscription, but I've just changed that. It's now lifetime membership, right? So people go to newcastlestartupweek.com/community and they pay a one-off fee of £75. That's it. They're a lifetime member, and what that is, they get access to the private Facebook group. They get a one-to-one consultation with me. They get opportunities to speak, to attend the online events and the physical events and other special offers and perks and opportunities, right? So because I've been doing that for it's coming up 9 months now, the one-to-ones I really enjoy that. Like, that's something I've always done. I've always liked having conversations with business owners and doing that SuperConnector,
Yeah.
Telling people, oh yeah, you're on the right track, or oh, you need to speak to this person. I'll do an introduction, or yeah, I'll give you a nudge. I'll promote you. I'll share some of your content, whatever. So that's great, and I know that in that 1 hour chat, I know I'm adding value, and people say it was worth the price just for that call often, right? But and then once they're in the Facebook group, they can benefit in other ways, whatever. But a lot of people need more than an hour. They need more time, and so I thought, okay, I'll create this new business coaching program, which is based on the 5 themes of Startup Week. So the 5 days of Startup Week, each day was always themed anyway. So Monday was Inspiration Day, Tuesday was Getting Started, Wednesday was Funding and Finance, Thursday was Growing and Scaling, and Friday was Keep Going or Pivot. And to me, they're the 5 stages that every new business or new venture has to go through on a regular basis, every project. So I've created this 5-star focus program. So it's 5 consecutive days I work with people. So it's an hour every day minimum. So it's an hour one-to-one over Zoom, and then I create a Trello board for them based on the first conversation. So day 1, I get them to talk about why they started their business, what motivates and inspires them, get them really excited again about their business and what they want to achieve that week, that month, that quarter, that year. And based on that conversation, I create a Trello board for them with a bunch of tasks for them to do and for me to do every day that week. And each day is themed. So Tuesday is, okay, you've told me that this is what you want to do. Right, today, Tuesday, we're going to get cracking. We're going to start things. And we're only going to focus on the things that you said you wanted going to do. And my job is to hold them to account, not just to me, like to them. And anytime they veer off track, I'm saying, no, that's not what you said you want to do. Stop that. This is what you're doing. And by the end of the week, they achieve more in those 5 days than they otherwise would have achieved just by getting that clarity and focus. And I love it. I really love doing that coaching program, the 5-star focus program. And it's consistent. It's the themes. It's the start with the 5 themes.
It's all still like tying in together. Oh my goodness! And actually, I've got a link for that as well. So if people would like to find out more about that, I do have a link. Are we ready? Yay! There we go. I'll tell you what, I'm getting good with this technology, aren't I? So there's a couple of questions I always ask everyone who comes on, Paul. One of the questions I always like to ask people is, what's your favorite piece of technology that you actually use day to day? And I think we've had some really interesting answers about that, but we've had answers that I wouldn't normally have come across. So tell us, what's your favorite bit of tech?
Bloody hell, you're putting us on the spot here. What do I use? Yeah, I mean, obviously, the obvious ones are social media. Obviously, you know, I use Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook every day. I don't know, like I suppose nothing particularly unusual about. I don't know, maybe. I don't know what are the examples of people given?
Oh, literally everything. I mean, we've had all the common ones about like Zoom and stuff. And then I had someone tell me about this random app, which I then installed. And I spent 3 years of my life getting lost down a rabbit hole, which I've never gone near again because I thought that's going to be my life if I keep using that. I mean, to be honest with you, I know we were just talking even about StreamYard and stuff, which we're obviously broadcasting with today. It's just amazing. I think in this day and age, especially like right now after lockdown, there are so many tools around us that I just would never have considered. I wouldn't have ever really invested some of the time in them, if that makes sense, when I was still running my life face to face, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I suppose I'll tell you. I mean, I do use HubSpot. Like, I'm a big fan of HubSpot. I couldn't really run my business without HubSpot. So the CRM and the marketing tools on that. But I mentioned it briefly. Like Trello is such a simple tool, but it took me. I think because it's so simple, it's misleading. People don't realize how powerful it can be. But once I created my system, so this 5-day system I'm talking about, I've been living my professional and personal life according to these same 5 themes since December 2018. So every Monday to Friday, I might do other things along the way, but I know that Monday is inspiration day. So Monday.
Really?
Yeah. So Monday for me is like, okay, I'm gonna learn a new skill. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna watch videos. I'm gonna watch telly. I'm gonna listen to music. I'm gonna go somewhere new. I'm gonna have meetings. I do anything that's gonna motivate and inspire me on a Monday. Then on Tuesday, I'm all fired up, and that's my day. Okay, I'm gonna instigate and get started. And then Wednesday's my funding and finance day, so that's the day when I'm doing all my accounts and
right. Okay.
sending out invoices and chasing up unpaid invoices, seeing where I'm at, and looking at new sources of revenue. Why I think Wednesday is a good day to do that as well is midway during the week, you know whether you're on track or not, and then on the third, you've still got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to turn it around. Thursday's the growing and scaling day. So it's like, okay, what do I need to do more sales, business development, marketing, personal development, leadership, mindset, partnerships? What do I need to grow the business? And then Friday, so that's the growing and scaling. And Friday is keep going or pivot. That's a day where I reflect and review how the week's gone, what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah.
If it worked, I'll do more of it, and if it didn't, I'll kill it off. And I've got really good at doing that every week. So that's
Can I say, forget the tech tool. That's a genius idea of working. I've never considered that. Interestingly as well, we just got Katie who's come up as well. Isn't this lovely? Katie, we didn't pay you. What a lovely endorsement for your program. The Startup Week community is great. So if you have just been listening in today, you might want to go in and join the community. And as Paul mentioned, it's now lifetime access on that as well. So that's bargainacious. And also a lovely shout out for the 5-star focus program. I completed it with Paul earlier this year. It was so useful and helpful, and it helped me to find clarity and purpose for my brand, The Savvy Stoic. So thank you so much for sharing that, Katie. You've made Paul's day. We'll screenshot that for you, Paul. You can stick it on your wall for your motivation day. I'm sure that will help. And actually, Chris has also come on saying how helpful that's been, and that he's taking away the slogan from you, Paul, concerning selling the message. So yes, selling the message. Let's remember that one. So the last thing, just as we wrap up now, Paul, what 3 key things do you think that people can learn from and take away about your SaaS journey so far?
I should have prepared for this, should I? I think going back to 5 years in, I think it is just like trusting your gut, I suppose, and just like, because everything I'm doing now and everything that people are liking and it's resonating is what I wanted to do in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? And like other things come along the way, but sometimes your first ideas can be your best ideas. So
Yeah.
I mean, even the 5 themes of Startup Week.
Yeah.
Not blowing my own trumpet, but if no one else does, I will. I think that is one of the best ideas I've ever had is the 5 themes, because I'm now using it to for the coaching, the 5-star focus program. I've personally been structuring my weeks according to that since December 2018. The Startup Week community inside the Facebook group, every morning as a bare minimum, I'll share some content that relates to that theme. So it helps me structure the week. And also I'm halfway through writing a book, which is all based on this system as well. So yeah, sometimes I think like trusting your gut, and I don't know if that was one or two, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got trusting your gut. We've got your first idea is sometimes your best, and we've got the 5 themes. I think we've done pretty well already off there. But if you've got a bonus one, I'll take a bonus one as well.
I think as well, just yeah, the importance of audience, yeah, and
yeah,
bringing them along on the journey as well, because yeah, I get massive value and inspiration and motivation from the time I spend with people that are in the community and the wider community. And any time that I'm feeling a bit stressed or a bit overwhelmed, I've personally got a habit of kind of withdrawing a little bit. And I know that the best way out of that is to just re-engage and just get stuck in and just do things again, because I always feel good again. And me getting stuck in always acts as a catalyst for things. So yeah, every time I do that, good things happen. So again, just trust in your gut and trust in yourself, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think having that audience is almost like an additional member of your team in some ways, which brings us back to how you're actually bringing Tribes to life in the first place. Paul, this has been like amazing. I know there's been so many people watching us today, so thank you so much for coming and joining us. We can't wait to keep to hear more about your Tribes journey. We're going to post all of your links below as well, because it has been amazing to hear about all the stuff that you're involved with. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll speak very soon.
Okay, thank you. And if anyone's got any questions, just post them underneath and I'll respond to every single one.
Yeah, Paul has said he'll respond to every comment. So if you've got a question, stick it in the comments. Brilliant. Paul, we'll speak to you very soon then. Bye for now.
See you. Bye.
Oh my goodness, how amazing was that? Right, so Paul, you need to get in touch with this guy. You need to connect. I know Andrew's already going to, but if you don't know Paul, his details are in the post above. And remember that you can go and find out more about his 5-star focus program. What an amazing way to run your business. Like, I would never have considered that. Like, every day themed around something different. I'm like literally considering how I'm going to do that right now. Apart from like, today's Thursday and it's nearly over, so I'll probably start on Monday. So definitely go and check him out. Let me know as well what other questions you've got to go for Paul. Drop them in the comments. He is going to come back and answer them as well. So it's a great opportunity, if you've been keeping a bit quiet, to ask any of your additional questions there, or get in touch. I'll be dropping his other links and handles, as the young kids call them, down in the comments below as well. So a big thank you for joining us today. I can see so many people have been in and out. It's been great to see. So thanks for joining us. We will be back in 2 weeks, and we will also be talking about SaaS products next time. We are talking about theory versus reality, which is very exciting. So do make sure that you connect with me so you get your reminder with that for next time, or sign up for the reminder links on the link I'm about to share. So thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, just keep selling, and I'll look forward to hearing how that goes. Bye for now.